Hey, it's Kristin and Danny.
What's up? Hey, everybody. Welcome to our live signing event for our new book, The Road to Love and Laughter.
What?
It's finally here. So, this has been a labor of love for us for 2 years now.
Yeah.
And so it's weird that, this has been in our hearts and in our home for a long time, but it's just now out in the world today.
That's right.
July 20th, 2021.
That's right. And welcome everyone to our home.
Yes, this is our sunroom.
And our little makeshift area here to sign some books.
We wheeled a table in here. This is our kitchen table that we brought from the kitchen into the sunroom.
That's right.
And then set up all of our books here. So this has been a surreal day in our household because to actually have a physical copy of words that you wrote and have it packaged together so pretty from our publishers, Zondervan, and then to have a company like Premier Collectibles reach out and say, hey, we want to host a live signing with you guys.
Yeah.
Super awesome. We're honored. Are you honored?
Very humbled.
I'm honored. Danny's having an iced coffee. I'm having some sparkling water. You want to toast our hey, you look so bougie. I put his we drove through and got some coffee earlier, and then I poured it in a nice glass, and you look very hoity-toity.
Hey, pinkies up.
Pinkies up. So we wanted to start off by telling you guys a little bit about the book, because based on the cover alone, you're like, what are these two people? What do they have to say here? So we always thought maybe down the road a book would be in our future. We hoped. Maybe after we had several more years of marriage and life under our belts, that we would have something valuable to say.
Yeah, that's just something you have in your mind. I think at least I did. When you think about writing a book, you're thinking you're later in your later years of life, and you're in a log cabin somewhere with blue glasses and a scruffy gray beard, and now I have the wisdom to tell the world something.
Exactly. And so, but we were on a podcast roughly 2 years ago on Jeremy and Audrey Roloff's podcast. And they had a book come out around then called A Love Letter Life, similar to us in that they're both married. They are they love Jesus. They make content. Jeremy was on a reality show. Yeah. We had backgrounds in Hollywood. And so we were on their program just talking about our relationship, being honest. Yeah. And Zondervan was listening, our book publisher. And they reached out to us right after the podcast aired and said, hey, if you guys can get what you just said on that hour podcast into a book form, you got something special there. And we really feel like it would bless people. And, sometimes your story can feel so comfortable to you, but someone out there needs it. Like sometimes your life can be like, really? This would help people? And you finally share it. And it's like, yes, that is like medicine to me right now. I need that. So the other thing that led us to do it was Danny and I, we post our lip sync videos where most people know us from. And a lot of them have gone viral, which we're so blown away by still, that people love that content. And we would read the comments, and so often people would say, you guys just it's like a barrel of laughs in your home all the time. And you're just two peas in a pod. And I wish my husband would dress up in a costume and sing in the front seat of their car with me. And I just want a marriage like that. And while that's flattering to hear, we're like, oh no, is this what people think? Because I don't want to bamboozle people here. We have real conflict in our home, just the same as anybody else. And we better let people know that that's not always true. We do have fun together, but not all the time.
Not all the time. No, we have, we get an opportunity when we're not doing videos. For those of you who don't know, we travel the country doing live events, and we have a night called Date Night with Kristin and Danny, where we have a lot of fun. It's a lot of laughs. We play, we interact with our audience quite a bit, and we share funny stories. But one of the things that we get an opportunity to do is tell them we're transparent. We kind of let the wall down and say, look, that video that you may have seen, or videos that you may have seen, that's a 3-4 minute video, but there's a lot of hours and a lot of minutes left in the day that Chris and I approach life very differently based on how we were raised, just all the happenings in our life. We're just our personalities are super different. So we're two performers who God has graced to come together and do things we do. And there's a great chemistry there that we have. But when you just approach everyday life, there's things that we look through different lenses at, which can cause conflict. And we're just quick to say, look, despite what you may see and the perception that you may have of watching our videos, that's not the case. And we actually communicate a lot of that in here of how the personalities are so different. How do we handle conflict, and how really God has been our anchor through it all to say, look, we have just really clinged to him and have to truly get our identity in him, put him on the throne of our hearts. And then that's when we're able to do what we do.
Yeah, better, right?
Better.
We're able to sustain it because, without Jesus in our life, like we would not still be married.
Nope.
And, even in the midst of doing these videos and the book, writing the book, we've had struggles and we still get in arguments. We call it heated fellowship now because we're holy and we love Jesus.
Yes.
And so it's called heated fellowship. But we had moments throughout the book process that we were like, we're just not going to do this. We got to tell Zondervan we can't do this.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not qualified to do this. We're not living the way we should be right now with this. But we got to the point, the resolve that this is not the end all be all of marriage books. This is an honest recounting of, like Danny said, transparent moments throughout our relationship and marriage that we hope will encourage you and remind you that you're not alone. Yeah. And of course, we put a funny spin on a lot of the stories because we do believe that laughter is the best medicine. And we do believe that you need laughter in your marriage. You might not be laughing all the time.
That's right.
You might not be laughing at that fight in that moment, but it's going to be funny down the road. Yep. And we picked the road to love and laughter. When you're throwing out book titles and trying to come up with things, we knew that most people know us from our videos where we're in the front seat of our car. Whether we're doing a lip sync or a travel vlog or something, we open a lot of our videos in the front seat of our car. So we thought, okay, something with the car, the road, that they know us from laughter is the best medicine. And hopefully they know us because we're a married couple that loves each other. So it was like the road to love and laughter was born. And we loved the road analogy of, you're going to go through this journey in life, right? And you're going to make some right turns and you're going to make some wrong turns. And you're going to take some detours and you're going to hit some potholes and you're going to hit some roadblocks. Whether it's individually as a single person and for sure when you're married, because now you're not only bringing your own funk and junk, but now you got someone else's funk and junk that's coming into the relationship and you're navigating that. That's right. And so that's why our subtitle is Navigating the Twists and Turns of Life and Relationships. And the whole idea behind all of that is that no matter what you do in that car, whether you make a right turn or a wrong turn, or you're way far off course or, whatever it is, God can make good out of any wrong turn that you make. Yeah. That is the hope, that no matter where we mess up and how we fall short, that God can straighten it out if we continue to run to him. That's right. and put our faith and hope and trust in him.
Stay in the car.
And you stay in the car. That's like one of our, we were talking about, so many times you want to just, at least we'll speak to us. We wanted to leave early, like abort the mission, stop doing videos, stop doing events, stop writing the book. This is just because the opposition was so great. Yeah. And that's what the enemy wants, our adversary, Satan, he wants us to quit. Abort. Yeah. Whatever your purpose is, he wants you to quit. That's right. And so that's at the end of the day, because he doesn't want you to impact anybody. Yeah. He doesn't want you to help your neighbor, and he doesn't want you to help, whoever's going to buy these books. He does not want the kingdom of God to advance.
That's right. It's all part of the beautiful redeeming story. When you get God involved in what he can do in spite of you and your situation and your story, that's the great thing, is because it's not really about you anyway. It's about God living through you. And when you can have the opportunity to say, man, we're two people that we're a hot mess. And as Kay says, now we're just a mess. We dropped the hot.
We dropped the hot. That's what we can give you. This book is not a hot mess. It's a mess. No. But it really is fun. We share raw, transparent stories, getting in a fight on the way to our mentors, our counselors that help us in marriage, showing up to their house angry at each other with our children. I mean, that was an awful day. But again, that God turned around for good. We were literally going to have dinner with our mentors. That was it. Get in a fight on the way, horrible fight. We recount it all in here. And to the point where I almost left Danny at a gas station. Like, that's how bad it was. He went inside and I was like, I'm going to drive off. I'm going to leave him right here. And so we end up rallying. We go to our mentor's house, which was supposed to be for a dinner. We ended up staying for 3 days. And his wife Sarah. It's Sarah and Emerson Eggerichs, who Emerson wrote the foreword for our book. But Sarah ended up watching our kids because our kids were with us for a few days, and we were in and out of Emerson's office together, individually getting counseling, trying to work through things. And we didn't solve everything that day, but we, as we say in the book, definitely gave the kingdom of darkness a black eye.
That's right. It was a divine appointment. You know, God knows exactly what you need, when you need it. And that's, I mean, he knows right where you are, every situation that you're in, whether it's a relational situation, whether it's a job situation, a financial situation, he knows exactly where you are.
On your road, he knows where you are.
Yeah. And we really just need to surrender that to him, you know, every situation. And so
we're
humbled.
And you got to keep your tanks filled on the road. You know what I mean? Like, we all have moments where we feel like our tank's running on empty, whether it's in all those areas that Danny just mentioned. But there's always a way you can stop and refuel, you know, wherever you are. God is with you wherever you are. You don't have to go to a church. You don't have to go to a certain person. You don't have to, you know, say 3 things, you know, before you go to him. You just stop and you go to him, and he's right there. The Bible says if we draw near to him, he'll draw near to us. And so just, if you need that, just stop the car and just tell God you need him. And to you had mentioned earlier, we were saying just stay in the car. That's what we can give you. Is we don't have it all figured out, but we know that we're not leaving. We're not getting out of the car early. We're not taking the exit ramp, right?
That's right.
We're in this to win it, and no matter how hard or tough the road may get. So we want to encourage you guys to do the same. So we want to get to some signings. This whole event is to offer you a signed copy of our book through Premier Collectibles. You can go to premiercollectibles.com/Adams, and this book with our signature will make its way to your home. And so we're going to start signing and start answering some questions that you guys have submitted through the portal ahead of time, the little comments through Premier Collectibles, and you can submit them right here on the Facebook Live signing as well, and they'll make our way to us. So do you want to start with this one, babe? Do you want to read the first one?
All right. First question says, you guys are hilarious.
Well, thank you.
Have you always had such great chemistry? And how did you meet? Did you always have great chemistry? How did you meet? We actually start off the book by telling the story of how we met, which was actually kind of fun to recall and walk down memory lane. But we met in Los Angeles, California. I had been living there about a year at the time. Kristin was just happened to be out there on a visit. She had competed on the very first season of American Idol. They asked her back for the second season to do some co-hosting with Ryan Seacrest. They were out there filming some things for the second season in Los Angeles, and she was invited through a friend she went to high school with to this little chili sort of
cookout house party. Like, I don't know, he was like, come over, there's people eating chili at a house.
Yes.
And it's like a bunch of like Southern Midwest people, you'll fit right in, come on, let's go. And so I don't know anyone at this party except my friend from high school. And Danny came up to me at that house party. I was like the new girl, you know, so there's always, you know, like, who's the new girl? Yeah. And so Danny, being the people person that he is, he has to meet everyone in the room. If he doesn't know everybody in the room, he has to go meet everybody in the room. And so he came up to me and just started the small talk, offered me a drink, and we became friends for 3 years.
Yeah, we were just friends for 3 years. She kind of plugged into what she then officially moved to Los Angeles, plugged into our group, our network of friends, and we were just buddies for a while. And then after 3 years, we started dating. And that whole story, more in detail, is in the book. But yeah, that's how we met in Los Angeles and lived there for 15 years. And 5 years ago, we moved to Indiana. That is also in the book of the faith move of moving from California to Indiana.
Yeah. And so we'll show you a little bit how the book's laid out. It's pretty cool. So like each chapter starts off like it's like written in conversation form, almost like you're reading a transcript from a podcast or a play or something like that. It's like Kristin says this, Danny says this. So we recount in detail the first time that Danny and I met, because he remembers it in vivid detail and I actually don't. And so that's another thing we talk about in the book, that Danny has like a freaky, crazy good memory about things and I don't. And so that was one of the challenges in writing the book together and recounting things. I would be typing something and saying something, and Danny's like, babe, that's not what happened. That's not how it happened. Where were you? Was that a dream that you had? That was not reality. And so that was probably, I don't know if that's a question, but that was a challenge in co-authoring a book.
Co-authoring a book.
Like having two different perspectives or memories on like how something went down.
Yeah.
And getting to an agreement like, well, which version's going in the book? For our children to read?
Meet in the middle.
For the world to read?
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Yeah.
So, okay, are you gonna sign that one?
Sure.
Your signature is so much better than mine.
What?
Like, I feel like, did you practice that?
I practiced that a lot growing up, hoping I would be a professional athlete.
You didn't think you were gonna be an author? You were doing it for your football cards. That's how you were gonna sign your football cards,
This
right?
inner city kid did not think I was going to be authoring a book. That's for sure. So very humble. But yeah,
so
and
that's how we met.
then in terms of the chemistry, that is something. Even before Chris and I officially started dating, I felt like there was a little bit of chemistry there when we would be out and about with friends and just kind of laughing together. We kind of had that, and I felt like once we became an official couple and then married, what God sort of does to marriage and with favor.
Was I different than all the other LA girls you were meeting?
You
back
were.
then?
You were very different. You were special.
Yeah, thanks.
Now it's been something that in terms of our chemistry and how we interact and perform together, that has been something that has been a blessing because this felt like a special grace has been on that. So and the more that you spend time and the more that you perform together, you really start sharing a brain and
that's for sure. I know where Danny's going. 9 times out of 10.
Yeah.
If I haven't heard the joke before or heard that, I'm like, okay, this is fresh and new, but I know where he's going, and we just rip off of each other really well.
Yeah.
There's a handful of times that like you'll surprise me. I'm like, what? You'll have like such a good one. I'm like, I was not expecting that.
Yeah.
But
Kay's quick. She's full of the one-line zingers, man. She is.
I'm corny. My humor is
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I can be like witty, but I'm corny witty.
Yeah, I like
It's
corny.
not for
I like
everyone.
corny.
But thank you. I like corny. And it's like that line for all you rom-com people out there in the holiday, which is like, I need more corny in my life. That's how I feel. I'm for the corny people.
Corny.
Not everyone's gonna think I'm funny, and that's okay.
Yes.
But the corny people get me. All right. So were there topics or did we skip one?
I think so.
Okay. This is from Gail in New Orleans.
Oh yeah, that
Louisiana.
first question was from Daniel in Charleston, South Carolina. Thank you, Daniel.
And then this one's from Gail out of New Orleans, Louisiana. What was the inspiration behind this book? Why did y'all decide to write it? I think we kind of answered that in the intro of the video where, we had a book in our hearts for a long time, but we didn't think it was going to be now. And then the inspiration was really for all the people that were commenting, you guys, marriage must be easy. You got just, 2 peas in a pod, you two laughing all the time. We were like, we need to tell the people that, the videos are great and fun and we have a blast doing them, but we're real and we have conflict too. And here's some advice on how we've learned to navigate thus far, but we're still in process. But we hope these stories will make you laugh and encourage you to keep on the road and stay in the car together.
That's right. We get a chance to share that story and to be open and more transparent at our live events. But we know a lot of you can't make it depending on where we're going to be doing that live event. And so this is an opportunity. It's an extension of our date nights, if you will.
All the stories we share from the stage and a lot that we don't have time to share at date night and just really expound upon things, in greater detail. That's the nice thing about, a book is that you can really get in there and tell all the stories and things you may not be able to fit, into a video or something like that. You can really do that. So
thank you, Gail.
All right. You want to do this one?
Sure. Were there topics or stories that you wanted to include in the book but decided not to? Ooh, that's a good question.
Yes, I know one.
Yeah. I think there were a couple of topics that we. Do you
need some water or some coffee?
Or coffee. Thank you.
Like which one's better? Sparkling water. You got a little tickle in your throat, sir?
Yeah. You can. I'm sure that you have something to say as well. But there were a couple of topics that were brought up and thought were meaty, and we thought, man, this could really go in there. But then decided it maybe wasn't a fit for this book, and that God willing, it could be for something down the road.
Maybe there's a book too. I mean, we definitely have more stories to fill another book,
Yeah.
But I think that was the challenging part, was going that pressure of like, what if this is our only book? We need to get everything that's ever happened in there. But that's just not, you can't force it in. We wanted it to have a nice flow. And I think it really came out nice. It's an easy, lighthearted read, but at the same time, it's packed with like super awesome wisdom nuggets and marriage truths and honesty and vulnerability. And so one girl commented, she got her book, like, even though it came out today, she got it yesterday. She ordered it on Amazon. And she was like, I read the book in one whole day, which was a testament. Like, she's like, it was super entertaining, but I love that she could finish it in a day.
Yeah.
Because I don't know about you, but sometimes like I love to read. I am a reader, but I'm also a mom and I have 2 kids, and Danny and I have a business and ministry together. So sometimes I just can't, as much as I want to sit around and go back and read Lord of the Rings and all the Harry Potter things, like, I don't have time. I can't read that many, And so this was like, I could finish this on a flight. I could finish this in a day. And so
there were also, at the very end, after we sort of wrap, we put down there a few frequently asked questions.
Oh, yes.
And there are more questions that we do get, but I think we used 3 or 4 of the top questions that were asked on a regular basis, like, where do you get all your costuming? What do your neighbors think of you? That kind of thing. So we answer those.
It was nice to be able to have that freedom in the book to go, let's do a whole, let's end the book with several pages of frequently asked questions. And so that was a nice way to fit things in, like Danny's saying, that maybe didn't, warrant a whole chapter on it, but it's definitely something that people are curious about. And so we did that. But one thing we left out, again, it's the road to love and laughter, right? So like, I'm working through a lot of things that have always been roadblocks in my relationships. Not even just dating relationships before Danny and I were married, but just relationships in general. And so I'm still working through a lot of things that have come up from, I don't know where. It's just how I've always been. It's been there. And I don't want to be that person that goes, well, that's just how I am. Deal with it. You know what I mean? Because when you see something that's a regular pattern that's affecting your relationships, you want to deal with it. But 1, I'm still working through it. And 2, so I couldn't put it in the book because I'm still working through it. And 2, it's a pretty heavy thing. And I'm like, that might be, this is the road to love and laughter. And so maybe that should go in a book that's not titled that. It's a little bit more kind of self-helpy in that area. Do you know what I mean? And if I'm going to be ready to share, some of that stuff, because it's just heavier. But that being said, we still got in there. I mean, there's a whole chapter called Dysfunctional. We capitalized the FUN in dysfunctional because we tried to have fun amidst our dysfunction. I don't know. So we get in there and we talk about hard things like being codependent and breaking free from that codependency cycle in a relationship, how toxic that is to both parties. We talk about how we've been stuck in a crazy cycle and didn't have any coping methods in our relationship, how we've yelled in front of our kids at each other and had to go apologize to them and apologize to each other. And, so it's in there. I don't want you to think, I mean, there's heavy stuff in there,
there's some stuff,
but that is one thing we left out, was just more personal things, because we're offering it together. And so I think on the other side of working through current issues that we're still in, there may be another book that comes from it, Road to Love and Laughter Part 2. And so I don't know.
No, that's good. That's good. I'm just thinking of some creative titles for book
number 2. Hey, once you read our book and you have another idea for book number 2, tell us what you think we should title it.
Maybe it's something with the train. Just
a train.
We're in a car.
We're in a car. Now we get on. We're always on a different mode of transportation.
Exactly.
Speaking of, I know that's a question because I saw it. I was scrolling through here. Oh, right here. We're gonna go here. Francine, since you just mentioned the cover. Francine out of Dallas, Texas, which is my hometown.
D-town.
What's the story behind the book cover? It's so cute.
Okay.
I'm so glad you asked, Francine. So again, the title was a nod to our lip syncs and our videos, because we're always in the car together. So we thought, we actually took 2 different cover options when we went to shoot it. One was in an actual car. It was like a cool red. What was the kind of car was it?
It was a convertible.
You can
Actually,
get a
I will.
picture?
I'll go get it.
Well, you guys want to see what almost was the cover, but then this was selected? Danny's gonna go get it. So this one was shot. I don't even remember. I think the photographer, his name's Micah, who did this. He was like, "What if we had like a little car?" And like shot one with a real car and one with a little car, and you guys just do something funny with it. And we were like, okay. And at first I was kind of like, I don't know, I think that's not really gonna work. Remember,
Yes.
like a little car, like what are we gonna do? But when we were in the studio and on the fly, I jumped on Danny's shoulders.
Yeah.
It came to life.
Yeah, it was hilarious.
It came to life.
They had the fans. They had the big fans out blowing Kristen's hair. It was really fun.
Do you want to get it?
But this was,
Oh yeah.
this
Show 'em.
was, okay, so this is what the book cover is there with Kristen on the shoulders. And then this was the other option, actually in a real convertible, and the Road to Love and Laughter, and they kind of put like the road signs as if we're going down the road. So that was fun too.
Option one, option two.
But the option two, we felt like it was a little more eye-grabby.
And funny.
And funny.
And it captured the funny
Yeah.
that we wanted to capture. Hey, look who came in frame, our children. And you're out of breath. Were you running up from the basement?
Yeah.
We locked them in the basement and said, don't come up, mommy and daddy are doing a live
Cannot
session.
believe they broke free.
Can't believe we came out of the basement. I'm just kidding.
Okay, so we want to ask you kids, what do you think about today and the fact that
Well,
we're
you go first.
launching a book?
What do you think about the fact that mommy and daddy have a book?
I think it's really cool, and I thought it was really cool that we saw in the bookstore.
We went to the bookstore earlier today,
Yeah.
and so to see the book on the shelves was kind of real, right?
Yeah.
Like it's fun to order things in the mail, but it's also fun too to be like, wow,
Yeah,
that is there on a shelf.
that's right. We went to Barnes and Noble here locally, and
It was pretty
it
fun.
was great.
And then Holt, what do you think? What do you think about the fact that mommy and daddy have a book?
I can't really judge it because I haven't read it.
He can't judge it because he hasn't read it. How do you like the honesty from
Shame,
that?
shame on that 7-year-old for not reading the book.
He's not gonna endorse something he hasn't read, even if his own mother or father wrote it. Hey, I respect that, Holt.
Yeah.
I respect your honesty.
Hey, he's even in the cover too, man.
Too bad we dedicated it to you. I
That's
think I'm gonna
right.
change that.
Right there, front cover,
Which I-
dedicated to our kiddos. You're actually going to be wiped out of that, sir.
It says, for our daughter Harper and our son Holt, you are our greatest gifts. We pray that you will live loudly, love radically, and laugh uncontrollably for the rest of your lives. Keep God first and remember that nothing you can do can make him love you more, and nothing you can do can make him love you less. You are his and he is yours.
Actually, I'm 7 now.
I know your ages. These are the ages of the time your photo was
Yeah.
taken and when we wrote the book. So
Yeah.
that's why we did that.
There you go.
So yeah, so it's dedicated to Harper and Holt. Well, you guys can go head back down and hang in the basement.
Okay, this is mommy and daddy's time.
I'm just kidding. I
Okay,
love you.
that's great. Take your
We'll
monster.
see you soon.
Smell you later.
We'll see you. See you soon, buddy. Thanks for coming up and sharing.
Bye, people.
Bye, people.
Bye, people in the world.
Don't disturb us again.
People in the world. People all over the world. All right, who's funnier? This is the next question
All
from
right.
Tracy out of Louisville, Kentucky.
Tracy.
Who's funnier, Kristen or Danny? For sure,
Me.
me.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
You know, it's so crazy because Danny grew up in a family that entertained and performed. They were singing evangelists. They went from church to church and sang. I didn't even know what a singing evangelist was, but it's a thing, a big thing.
Yeah.
But they kind of took it to a different level
Yeah.
and added in variety
Yeah. Variety
skits and
shows.
shows with it.
Yeah. So I grew up doing characters, growing up, throwing on wigs and kind of just developing these characters at a young age, which then I took into my adulthood, performed them in college, and then ended up doing a one-man show in California. And so I've always done that, always performed. And Kristen, she's just a natural at anything really she does, from singing to acting, and then she was a television host for 15 years, very successful one out in Los Angeles, but was never necessarily given the stage to say be funny. And so it was a beautiful blend to come in and say, hey, look, this is what I do, you know, you're the beautiful face that can draw the people in, actually. But no, but it's great because Kristin's super quick on her feet. Most of our live events, if you've ever been to one, you know that a lot of our show is improvised. It's just us riffing, and we become commentators. We make the show about the people, and everyone has funny to them. That's the beautiful thing about life. We
point out the funny in a nice way, and
Yeah.
I think that's the line that, you know, because comedy nowadays, it's just, I don't know, it's not always for me. The current way that comedy is flows nowadays. There's some people that we love that are just doing it, we feel so well, but the crude stuff, or when you're making fun of somebody to a degree that's just not funny anymore, or you're just negative all the time, and whatever it is, it's like, okay, there's so many other topics and so many other ways you can frame it that's funnier, and our goal is to create content that the whole family can watch.
That's right.
And so when we do something, we're like, hey, can grandma watch this? Can the granddaughter watch this too? And everyone in between.
Yep.
And when you're kind of poking fun, it's like you want to ride that line in comedy of like, whoa, we almost went there, but we didn't. And you don't want to make anybody feel bad.
Yeah. Highlighting the quirks of people, yourselves, and people. I think we miss that. Obviously, we're living in an age where every little thing can be offensive to someone. But man, that's the beauty of life. We're all different, and to laugh at ourselves. Laugh at ourselves and each other. So that's what we like to do when we go out and have the opportunity to spend that time with people at our live events.
So in a nutshell, I'm funnier. Basically, what we're trying to say is that I'm funnier. No, but I will say that, and I appreciate all those kind things you said about me. Danny is super gifted at character work. Like when you give this man a wig and a hat or a prop or something that takes him to like another person and personality type, he is like super gifted, better than anyone I've seen, of just transforming and taking on the perspective of that person. And so I love watching when he does character stuff, and that's what I really think your biggest gift, in terms of comedy is. But you're also just funny naturally. But like we don't look around and we're not like funny all the time. Like I always get nervous. It's like you people will see us out and they're like, hey, you're Kristin from Kristin and Danny, and you guys are so funny. And it's like maybe on a day we're like, I'm super not in a good mood and I'm not feeling funny about anything, and I'm like, oh no, I have to be funny right now.
I carry wigs around just in case.
Just in case.
I'm like, wait a minute, hey!
It's time to be funny.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
no, which I will say this. There's a chapter in the book when we talk about meeting her parents, or I met her parents for the first time. The chapter is called Man to Man Talk. It's probably our favorite chapter because it's hilarious. But
that was a question, I think. What? Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
So it's basically Kristin. I'm meeting her parents for the first time, and the first night at dinner, Kristin's basically saying, "Be funny, Danny. Be funny. Do what you do in front of her family."
Well, I was already nervous bringing home my boyfriend from LA, to meet my Texas family, who, my dad, unfortunately passed from a heart attack back in 2014, and that's one thing I didn't put in the book to answer something that was left out of the book, like that whole story of being, my world being rocked by losing my father so unexpectedly. But again, this book is called The Road to Love and Laughter, and that some things had to be left out, so that can maybe be in another time. But that at the time, when my dad was alive, he's got the circle of trust, man. Like it was like Meet the Fockers, with my father. It's like you were not in, and it's gonna take a lot to get you in, and then when you're out, you're out. And so, I'm like trying. I know this about my family, but Danny, I haven't really told him that. So I'm like, be funny, like do something, like do your characters, like make them laugh.
She set me up.
And so it just didn't go. Well, Danny's like, babe, first of all, these people didn't ask to be entertained. We're just trying to have dinner. Your mom made a lovely meal.
Yeah.
And
you can't force funny.
You can't force funny. And I'm making him like do his characters without any of his, the setup or costumes or anything. Oh my God.
It was a nightmare. I mean, to look back, it's hilarious. But in the moment, I'm just like, oh man, this is bombing.
They don't know, Danny.
Terribly.
They don't know. They're already skeptical. Of the daughter bringing home.
Hey, funny guy, huh? Funny guy. And
Yeah.
her dad is a Purple Heart Marine. He's a hunter. All the things.
He was a man of few words, and
Yeah.
And so it's like,
It's a great story.
yeah.
3 days later, we have the official man-to-man talk, but that's in the book. It's a great read. It's good stuff. So
Yeah, my dad gave the classic man-to-man talk to Danny
yes.
about, what he better not do to his daughter or,
Or else.
something's gonna happen. So
Yeah. All right.
here you go. You sign this. Are you gonna read the next one?
Well, this one's cool. This one's from Andrew from Grand Haven, Michigan. And he basically just says, which we've already answered this, but he says, now that you've written one book, do you have any thoughts on a second one? We kind of answered that earlier, and that number 2 could be, God willing, in our future. Most people were marriage, but there's chapters that were particularly.
Okay. Were there chapters that were particularly hard to write? Which ones? That's from Samantha, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I'm gonna look at the table of contents because we wrote this book out of order. Because honestly, it was like, okay, I always say like the spirit has to move me. Like, what's the spirit moving me to do today?
Yeah.
And sometimes, we'd sit down and be like, okay, let's start with the introduction.
Yeah.
That's the first part of the book. But we had nothing.
Yeah.
Like there was nothing there. But then I'm like, hey, I'm feeling the story about this, that, and the other. And so I think one of the hardest stories to write was the dysfunctional chapter, because you're really recounting stories that weren't our best moments in our relationship. And I'm like, ooh, I like to have a good image, so it's not always fun to tell the ugly stuff about myself. So that was a hard chapter. How about you?
Yeah, I think.
Here's the titles if you want to.
Yeah, and like Kristin said, when you're co-authoring a book, there are just the times when one of you may be feeling like, hey, I feel like writing, or the other one may not. And so we had to, that was just part of that process for us to learn. Like, how do we actually write this? What's our flow? And that actually came together. But
at
that
the
was,
end, but like the first few months of writing it were hard.
Yeah.
Getting started was the hardest part. And then finally we found our groove.
Yeah.
And it just, I think it came out really great. But I would say the dysfunctional chapter 5 was hard. And then Faith Can Make You Move is chapter 8. And that's where we talk about moving from California to Indiana 5 years ago. And parts of it were easy to write because you're recounting a story. We learned so much from taking that leap of faith, to leaving Hollywood, the jobs that we knew, the livelihood that we knew, our church family, to come to Indiana. I didn't know a soul here outside of Danny's family, and to start making videos for the internet. Like, we had no clue how we were going to make a living. Like, do people even do that for jobs, 5 years ago? And, we just didn't know. And so there was a time we would count, living on our savings for the first 8 months to a year that we moved here. And Danny's like high faith guy. I take a little bit longer to get there. I have faith, but I take a few detours before I finally go, okay, God, I trust you. And so like I freak out. And so there was a time like our bank account was like going like this when we moved to Indiana, even though our followers count on Facebook was going up, but it was like, okay, I'm grateful for that, but we're not making any money. Like, and so we had to use a coin jar that we saved money to go. We would throw loose change in a big jug to go overseas, and we had to like dive into that jar, tap into that jar to buy groceries for the week. And so sharing that story was hard. I cried, just rethinking, reliving that and thinking about that, and but also how precious a moment it was to be with my kids at the Coinstar machine, pouring our things in. And I don't want to tell you what happened, but we found something when we were pouring the jug of coins out. We found something that was not a coin that we wouldn't have found if that moment had not happened, and we needed to get to that place. And it was like this reminder from God that we have a covenant and that he's with us and that it's going to be okay. So that was a hard chapter to write.
There you go.
So I'd say chapter 8 and chapter 5.
Okay, so a couple of little fun questions here. This is from Blair, Miami, Florida. What music or podcast are you listening to right now? And we're in the process of moving our son out of our daughter's room. They've shared a room since
Holt's been on this. Well, he had the nursery, but then they've shared a room for 5 years.
So now Holt's moving over, giving obviously Harper at 10 years old, a little bit more privacy. But it's been fun. And so I'm thinking about that, and we have been on a Motown kick. Holt, our son, he's a Motown fan, so we are, and so that's been some fun music to just shift furniture around and clean. So we've been on the Motown kick. We have a pretty big variety of music and genres that we enjoy.
But we'll just just say, tell you know who. I don't want to say it because she'll turn on, but we'll tell you know who to just play Motown music or music like like Michael Jackson or like whatever it is that
80s. 80s is a go-to 80s music. So.
80s music. Look, I love 90s music.
Yeah. If you know Christian music, We the Kingdom is an awesome band out there that we got to personally meet recently, and we tell them to play that music along with music like that and that genre.
I love We the Kingdom. That's like probably my favorite Christian group, like band right now.
They're amazing.
Just so talented.
Yeah.
And then for podcasts, there's some good ones. I mean, we like Joe Rogan. We just say we like Joe Rogan's podcast. He's entertaining, man.
Yeah.
I like people that think through like why they think what they think, and are just bold, whether you agree with them all the time or not.
He's got some great guests too, which is great because you have a nice big perspective on things.
Yep.
That's great. So here's another fun one, Kate. Funniest moment. This is from Tom from Philadelphia. Funniest moment you shared while filming. So that okay, there's a couple.
Probably in our bloopers.
Yeah, it's probably in our bloopers.
Don't forget to sign. He can't talk and sign at the same time. He has to
talk and sign.
It's like he can't.
Oh, well, first time I've ever done this. That's true. Because at our live events, if I ever have to sign anything, I'm like, anybody. Yeah.
I'm getting nervous because this is our first live signing event, and then now when we do our actual in-person live events, like our dating events, we're gonna have books. People want to come buy a book, and I'm like, oh no, this is not gonna work. You're gonna be talking to people and trying to hear you. Look how you're behind.
Yeah. So this is a good one though. Funniest moment you've shared while filming. There's two that come to mind for me, and that is there's just opportunities that for funny to happen when you're in the car in character in a very close space that just organically just come up and end up being some of the funniest moments.
Yes.
So we've had some. Gosh.
The Notebook is my funniest.
The Notebook.
We did romantic movies lip sync. We posted it like February 2021. If you want to go back and watch it. But we did scenes from romantic movies, and we opened with doing the scene from The Notebook where he's coming back and he's telling her that he wrote her every day for a year.
Yeah.
And so we're like lip syncing the words, but during that scene it starts to pour rain on them, and so we had to film like the part where we weren't wet. And then we had to then I had a squirt bottle and I'm like spraying Danny.
Dousing, like really, really wet.
And his mustache beard situation.
The glue's coming off of the mustache. And so it's because it's getting super wet and the mustache is hanging off. So I can't really open my mouth or smile like I normally would. So just how I looked while trying to hold the mustache on just looked painful.
And when Danny said I'm good at one-liners, I had some good ones. Like, I just got so tickled. That's one thing with me. When I start getting tickled at something, it's really hard to bring me back. Sometimes I get the giggles. So I get the giggles, and then all these things are coming to me. I'm looking at him, and I'm like, you look like a broke down Ryan Gosling. Like, I can't even look at you right now. Like, it was like, and I was like, you look like Raising Arizona. Like, it wasn't even the right, sometimes we put two costumes together. And sometimes you're like on point, like you look like that person that's crazy. Yeah. And then other times you're like, okay, that was a little too much beard or a little too much hair for, Kenny Rogers or whatever. But like that
was funny. I think you said I looked constipated.
I was like, you look like you're about to poop.
So
because he couldn't smile, the mustache was like, he's like this, he's like trying to laugh and smile. I'm like, you look like you're in pain.
Yeah. So that one was hilarious. The Aaron Neville when we did that, and
oh yes,
and we got Kristin got the idea of switching because my mole kept falling off of my face.
So
Aaron Neville's his famous mole
on his eyebrow.
So she's like, what if we took it off and put it on my face, and then it was as we come together, kiss.
Like, let's kiss, and it's almost like you gave me your mole.
Yeah.
He like it. I love when I really genuinely make Danny laugh because I know it's like good.
Yeah,
like if I can make Danny laugh, I'm like, it's a good one.
It's a good one.
And so if you watch the bloopers for romantic movies and the bloopers for the love songs of the decade,
Yes.
Those are pretty good ones.
Yeah, and the Dirty Dancing was the last one. When we did the Dirty Dancing and trying to lay down in the car to basically
To lift baby
lift baby up with
in the
Dirty
car.
That was hilarious.
This is ridiculous. Someone said, you two are hilarious. You should totally have your own reality show. Have you ever thought about that? You know, it's so funny. I mean, I think it'd be fun to have a show. I would want to do a reality show because I like having like a normal like life with my kids. Like I wouldn't want cameras up in here all the time.
Yeah.
But we have thought about a variety show. Like that's been in our heart since we were dating.
Yeah.
Like to have like a really cool network that you know we could get behind the programming on and also like run the variety show portion. We both love the Carol Burnett show growing up and a lot of just the old comedians. But her specifically of just the format of coming out every night, riffing with the crowd, you know, that whole thing, and then cutting to sketches, interviewing guests, because we really feel like a show like that would pull on a lot of Danny and I's strengths collectively.
Probably incorporate a little bit more music into it, but still the same. I mean, that would be
like next level.
Yeah.
If anyone out there wants to produce that and can make that happen,
Let's go ahead.
Have your people call our people, and our people are Harper and Holt, who are in the basement. They're standing by on phones. They're standing by. All right, should we answer a couple more?
Sure.
Maybe 2 more, and then we need to sign a few more books. We're definitely not going to be able to sign all these on the live signing event. But if you purchase a book through premiercollectibles.com/Adams, they will be an official signed copy of the book. We're really excited to get these into your hands. So Danny's going to bring up like 1 or 2 more questions.
What has been the most rewarding part of your marriage?
Ooh.
I got an answer for that. And I would say, I was thinking about this earlier. Man, I don't want to get emotional. I think it is the opportunity for growth in yourself and the closer relationship you can have with Christ through your spouse being your refiner. There's nothing more that will expose who you are and what is in you than a marriage, than drawing or trying to draw close in intimacy with someone else. Because not only is that difficult on its own, but especially as a Christian couple standing up for and saying, look, this is who we are and this is who we serve. The opposition, as Kristin mentioned earlier, there's a lot of pushback, there's a lot of warfare. And I think it just gives us an opportunity to go deeper with the Lord. And in my case, I felt like I could skate through life pretty easily, maybe on the coattails of my parents and family's faith, and just using some of the God-given abilities that God's granted me of being somewhat of a people person. But man, when the rubber hits the road and life smacks you across the face, it's like, who do you turn to and who are you? Where's your identity and where does it lie? And I think that's been the greatest reward, is saying, man, I may not have had this opportunity to get closer with my Heavenly Father if I weren't married. So.
Yeah, that's a really good answer. Honestly, that would probably be, mine would be similar in that it's deep in my faith, and it's caused me to dig down deep and go, what do I really believe, and get tools that are outside of what I may have, ever known. Like, had I not been married to Danny, like, I don't know that I would have ever been forced to, pray like I pray, or, anything like that. I mean, I would love to say, oh, the most rewarding part is having your best friend and laughing every day, and, it's just so great. But the reality is this is not true. That's not every day. Those are great moments. I love having, a partner who is committed to me, till death do us part, right?
Yeah.
Like, but the most rewarding part is that it changes you for the better.
Yeah.
And it's hard, but at the end of the day, it's like the longer you stay in it and you fight to win, not fight each other, but like fight to win and fight for each other, then the better it gets. The longer the you go down the road, the better it gets. And so but anyways, so I hope we answered that.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we're going to get to all of them, but
Yeah.
this was there's so many good questions. Maybe we can go on the comments or something and answer some more. because we'll be here for like another hour. But I hope we answered like a lot of, thank you guys for supporting the book. And thank you to Premier Collectibles for, making this live signing event happen. This feels so fancy. And so like, I don't know, like we're signing books that we wrote. So we don't have a ton of live events scheduled the rest of the year. One, because of COVID and on the impact that that's had on all the live event industry. But also because we're being very particular about, what we take and how packed we make our schedule, because, we're regarding the health of our marriage and our family. And when you get pulled on in so many different directions, sometimes, at least in the process of writing this book, it revealed that, we need to slow down in some areas. And writing the book was very healing and revealing to both of us. It revealed some things that we still need to work on. And it was healing in so many areas where we're like, wow, look how far we've come. Like there's still these issues that we need to address, but like, look how far we've come. It was a great reminder to us too, to keep going to ourselves.
And not that not that our value comes of when doing things, but just merely being. And that really, God loves us right where we are. And sometimes that's the lie of the world, that you have to do so much to get a return and to be valued. And it's simply not true. We can just be with him and be present.
Nothing you can do will make them love you more, right? And nothing you can do will make them love you less. Right. And I cut you off. You just have to be present. Be present. Keep going. Abide. What were you going to say? Abide. Finish your thoughts, sir. I interrupted. I'm very sorry.
It's okay.
What you have to say is valuable and important, and I love you.
Thank you. All right.
Do you want anything else?
This could be the last book. I'm putting a $5 bill on this one.
I thought you meant this could be the last book that we ever write. The first and last. You meant that's the last book you're going to sign for right now, for the stream. Yeah. Okay. Well, there you go. So what it looks like. Chapter 5 is $5. So we've been signing these books all through the live stream. Go to premiercollectibles.com/Adams if you want to purchase a copy. The link is in the description of this post. Thank you guys for watching. We hope this blesses you. And we had some people reach out and say this would be like a great gift for newlyweds to put in like like a marriage gift. And also we've had people that have been married for 50+ years and said this blessed us. Like you guys are encouraging us to keep the laughter alive and all of that. So I really think it would just be a fun, great read just for anyone who just wants to enrich their marriage and just be reminded that they're not alone. That's right. So thank you guys so much. We love you lots. And remember,
laughter's the best medicine. Bye.
Bye.